I've spoken a bit about friends already, but know that your uniqueness is a strength. Sometimes you burn too bright for those people and that's their loss. And your passion and directions may give you a focus that teens lack in the later years, so you may find that you know exactly what you want to do in the future. Well, a lot of teens are still guessing, and if you are too, that's fine. And we're all on our different trajectories, so just remember that. And you might have older friends. I had buddies in year 12 when I was in year 7, and they really helped me because they were more interesting to talk to, they were more mature. And they also looked out for me during the harder times and were kind of mentors for me and made socialising more enjoyable. As teens are trying to work out how they fit in this world, they may drop friends, and this may seem out of the blue for us and we may start to blame ourselves. We may not operate that way, and it hurt me deeply when this happened to me, but just know it's not necessarily your fault or problem. You probably have more stable relationships than them. If in doubt, ask a trusted family member or mentor, or if you're concerned about your friendship, ask the friend yourself. My mentor actually told me, well, because I was saying I was concerned about this friend of mine, and she said, why don't you conduct an experiment and see what happens if you ask them, in different types of ways. So I tried with a few friends and trialed it, and I found that they actually gave me a response back saying, no, I just thought you didn't want to be approached or whatever. So we started to learn how to communicate better. But I'm a big science buff, so my mentor presenting it to me as an experiment really gave me the confidence I needed for science. Sometimes our perceptions of a situation may be different to a reality, and other people may be good at concealing their true feelings, which can make them hard to read. And you don't have to find friends at school. Most lifelong friends you may find later on in life. Often teens are not looking towards the future, only short term. One of my autistic friends was actually put off romantic relationships for this reason. They said that young people go into relationships with the expectation that they were going to end, and he didn't want to go through that. Consider going to social groups outside of school where you get to meet other autistic people. There are good autism-friendly groups that do specific autism events, often doing different things. I know Yellow Ladybugs does one specifically for girls and women. They have various things on, each one's on Harry Potter. They have had swimming, what else? Oh, so many. Art classes, cooking, all that sort of thing, and some of them have made great friends through that. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you're looking in the right places, you will find your tribe, and it is possible. If I could go back in time and say that to my 13-year-old self, it would have really helped. You may have seen my other video about sensory toys and aids. Use them. They're really helpful. They can help us with self-regulation at school and focusing. And if you're a teacher, please allow us to use sensory aids in the classroom. It really helps us, and it helps us focus, and we take more in when we have something self-soothing. It can benefit every student too. There are a variety of sensory toys out there, like squeeze balls, fidget cubes, noise-cancelling headphones. Some of them are relatively inexpensive too. And if we already have sensitivity in these areas, these aids help us in the noisy and loud world out there. So it's not an advantage over other kids or things like that. Sometimes it can help focusing on a scent that you like, or getting a scented toy of a scent that you like. Having a tactile input can be good, so there are a lot of chew toys out there. Chewing gum's also good, and I would definitely recommend allowing students, as if you're an educator watching, to use dictation software and typing. Things like assistive technology and AAC, particularly for non-speaking students, is so important. Voice-to-text software can really help students, especially if they have fine motor skills or other conditions like dysgraphia. And I remember an autistic student in my class saying, when I am able to type, I can finally think, and I don't have to worry about making a curve on a letter. So it helps with their learning, and it is not an advantage over other students. This helps create a more inclusive environment, so please don't hesitate to let us use these tools. Number 7, group work. I found that there was a lot more group work when I got to high school, and collaboration was something I really struggled with, because some people didn't want to do the work and I wanted to, and I sometimes had a tendency to take over as well. So I sometimes needed help from teachers with things like collaboration. You may even say to your peers that you struggle with group work and need some extra help. So things like assigning roles or keeping them in the loop. And teachers, you may initially need to give us more direction with this. And I think assigning us with people who are our friends or we're familiar with will really help, because then we don't have to worry about dynamics and then trying to communicate to new people and things like that. And if you can, assign roles and groups beforehand, because what I found happened quite a lot is that I would not get picked with anyone and I'd be left with the class clown or someone who wasn't really invested, or I didn't get along with. So for me, having assigned groups was really important, especially when I was in Year 7 and Year 8. Parents, definitely let the teacher know that we may need extra support with our group work, and teachers, please don't disclose our autism without our consent. This is something that's really important. It must be something that we're comfortable sharing. We may need breaks because group work can be very exhausting for us, and make sure it's a positive experience, because these are potentially valuable life skills, and if you can teach us good strategies in high school, you'll be able to set us up really well for things like the workplace and stuff like that, and learning how to ask for help and all those important skills. Often we're great at the content but not so great with the people, unlike other neurotypical teens, and they may be great at socialising but not so great at focusing on the work, and this can be very frustrating for us. If we do not see the relevance to the exercise, good luck getting us motivated, especially if it's not in our areas of interest. Try and explain to us the relevance, and make it fun. And sometimes, depending on how much mental energy or things we have, I sometimes requested to do individual tasks or even have smaller groups like a pair, which really helped me as well. Lunchtime. For neurotypical people, I'm sure you love it, but I personally did not love it because it was unstructured time. So for me, having things like clubs, so chess, I'm not a chess fan, but chess clubs, art clubs, music clubs were really great for me because I actually met people that enjoyed what they did as well. And if you want to join a club and there isn't one, maybe suggest one. It can be a good opportunity for us to get together and meet like-minded people. Keep an eye on the time. I've said this before, but maybe use a reminder on your phone, or get someone to remind you of the time, because it can be so easy to lose track. Maybe have a watch if you can. And I think the digital ones have alarms and things you can put on it now. But also most schools have a bell to keep you on track, but just make sure you leave about 10 minutes or 5 minutes to get to your locker and get to class on time. Teachers, I would say, consider providing a safe space for us autistics to hang out, but don't call it something like the autism room. But consider running activities based on our interests for recess and lunch, because it can really help. Consider lunchtime a chance to recharge, do the things that you enjoy. I used to love reading and gaming, drawing, all this sort of thing. Don't feel like you have to socialise at lunchtime. Sometimes I just needed to chill out. I think teachers, it's important to realise this too, that this is actually a time where we can chill out if we need to. If there's a chill out room you can provide with some comfy couches or something, it would be really good, because school's very intensive for a lot of us, and concentrating for a long period of time is very hard. So if you can provide safe spaces for us, we would be so grateful. Number 9, homework. I talked a bit about homework before. For me personally, it differed a bit to primary school because there was more of an expectation of tracking due dates and doing the homework in your own time. So for me, it was very important that I had phone reminders and checking my emails, because often teachers will announce things or remind dates or tasks that need to be done via email. So get it on your phone, put it in your calendars. You may even consider getting a visual timetable to track due dates. It's not even just for homework. Visual schedules I find are really helpful. I have one on my fridge that I get to see every morning, and I also put my timetable up there too, and I've got one printed out in my computer bag. So there's just some of the things that can help with your organisation. Also remember that homework is not indicative of your intelligence or ability. If you struggle with perfectionism, it can get very easy to think of yourself as dumb or silly when you get a mark back, but just take it as a learning experience. Don't worry about the mark or the comments. Just use that to say, okay, I have areas of improvement here, but You know, often my mum would help me because she's a teacher and say, well, look at all the stuff you did right. It's just a learning tool, and don't take it as indicative of your overall abilities. If you have difficulty getting started, maybe ask your parents for help, or even write down questions for your teachers. You could even email them and say, look, I'm having difficulty with this. You may even consider getting a tutor that may help you with these sorts of things. And teachers, I would definitely recommend being a bit flexible with autistic students. We may need more time, like a couple more weeks, or even more assistance outside of school. Consider giving us less homework too, and especially if we have anxiety around homework. We could have other things like home learning tasks, like researching something applicable to our studies, or even practical activities involving our passions. Make it fun for us. Give students specific resources and guidance. Please don't keep it general. Saying, oh, you can ask for help is not enough. We need to know how. So for example, my teacher said, you can email us here if you have concerns, or you can go to the portal where students ask questions. Very specific guidelines, because otherwise I found that I didn't know how to ask for help, so I didn't. Very important. And just be aware of our executive functioning issues. If we don't hand something in on time, maybe ask the parents and check in and see if there's something going on, because sometimes, especially if our anxiety levels are increasing, it can be really hard to keep track of things outside of school. Especially if we've come home from a very busy day of school, we're probably too tired to even think of our schedules. And last but not least, is your school working for you? I would recommend to give it a bit of time, and it's important to think about what you want to get out of school. Ask yourself, is my school supportive? What are the positives and negatives of my school? You could even write it out on the table. Do the positives outweigh the negatives? Am I learning effectively? And how can I resolve current issues? A school may not work with you for various reasons. It may not be in a style that you relate to. There might not be adequate support for you there. But consider what you want to gain by going to school. Is it worth it for you? Because you as a student are the most important person in this decision. In terms of your academic and career path, can you learn it elsewhere in other forms, such as distance education or tutoring? Socially, you can benefit socially from going to social groups and meeting up with other autistic individuals. From a sensory point of view, you may find school very tiring. So maybe you could do homeschooling instead, or attend school part-time, which is what I did. I found this pathway really helped me because I still was able to go to school, but the hours were reduced and I was able to stagger my Year 12 subjects over a couple of years. This really helped me. I know that other autistic people have also done Year 12 over 2 years, and this has been a viable pathway for them. But again, it's up to the individual, and there will be different circumstances for everyone. You may benefit from a different learning approach, such as schools that have a specific approach that may work for you, or homeschool. And homeschooling is a viable pathway as well for some people. Again, it's up to the individual. Different things will work for different people. Definitely consult the school and psychologist as a parent and student if you have these concerns. It's really important to maintain that communication between teachers, parents and students. And please don't feel like you're alone, and please ask for help if you're struggling with any of these things. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, we'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. If you have a question, please leave a comment below. If you're an autistic individual and have questions, or a parent or a teacher, or even you want to offer advice, leave it down in the comments below. We also have a Patreon page, so be sure to check that out. And if you're interested in learning more, we also offer workshops and presentations in these areas, so please contact us if you're interested in our services. Thanks again, see you next time.